Lalu. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Adjudicator Debates, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Muhammad Abdullah Fagi. I'm a chairperson and adjudicator for this debate round. Welcome to the third round of English debating with the motion. This house will ban smoking in public place. But first I want to introduce the members of debates. First, from opening government is Mrs. Widi, and from opening opposition is Mr. Iqbal, and from closing government is Mrs. Konita, and closing opposition is Ms. Dinda. Then I would like to tell the regulation of this debating competition. In this debate, for the substantive speech, the timekeeper will say 1 minute to show that POI can be delivered. The timekeeper will say 6 minutes to show that time for POI is over. And then the timekeeper will say 7 minutes to remind that the argumentation time is over. For the POI, every debate can say POI deliver the question to debate. Now, we come into our debate today to open the case from the government team. Here is the first speaker of the affirmative team for opening government. Mrs. Widi, time is yours.
Thank you, Faki, as chairperson. I'm Normal Room as the first speaker from affirmative team. Really agree with this motion that smoking in public area should be banned. Cigarette is a thing that has a cylinder shape. It makes of paper with measure about 70 up to 100 millimeter. Cigarette consists of leaves of tobacco have been minced. On survey, Indonesia is one of the third biggest countries in the world country that has amount of smokers. And cigarette is very dangerous for the smokers. Not only active smokers, cigarettes are also dangerous for anyone who inhales the smoke. Every cigarette you smoke can increase your risk of developing various diseases, such as heart disease, stroke, fertility problems, and lung disorders such as lung cancer. There are some reasons why I agree with this motion. The first reason is regarded from the law side. Several constitutions in Indonesia have been issued about this. Based on the Constitution number 75 year 2005, District Government DKI Jakarta. In the Constitution explained that for the smokers who smoke in public area will get a jail punishment for 6 months or pay fine as big as 15 million. Please imagine well, just because of cigarette and smoking in public area, you will get a punishment in jail. I think it is a relevant solution because if our government does not apply this law, especially our societies will think as like us then, including smoking anywhere, in hospital, supermarket, bookstore, and so on. For the reason number 2 is regarded from economic side. Regarded from economic side, smoking is only wasting money. Too much money that the smokers have to pay a cigarette for smoking, whereas smoking actually is very dangerous for the smokers. And their money that they use to buy the cigarette is useless. Just imagine, you buy a cigarette, the cost of a cigarette is 50-100 rupiah. So how about a pack of cigarette? How much you waste your money to buy a cigarette in a week or in a year? Please calculate how much money you need to buy it. Okay, as we all know, smoker is not only from people who have work but also students. Students have recognized what cigarette it is. Even many students smoking in public area and wear uniform of their school. This case or this condition is of course will give a negative effect for them. To cost, the cost of cigarette is expensive enough. If the student who doesn't have money to buy the cigarette, he will do anything. For example, the student who likes smoking and he become addiction with it, whereas he does not have money to buy it. I think he will deceive his parents to ask money. He will say to his parents that there's an assignment from his teacher that must spend money. And even the most terrified thing, he will steal his parents' money. Or maybe if the most terrified thing, the student will ask money to the younger class in force. So relating to this, I really agree if smoking must be banned in public area. Thank you. That's all from me.
Thank you very much from Miss Vidi. That is great, very well argument. Now we start to guess from negative team. Here is the first speaker of the opposition team, Mr. Iqbal. Time is yours.
Thank you, Falke, for giving me time to give opening opposition and giving my opinion. We know that smoking is bad and maybe can affect other people. But you can't ban smoking in public place. And just because the person next to you is bothered, you can ask the person beside you or around you if you can take smoke. Or no one, or who knows, maybe the person around you is a smoker as well, since there are a lot of smoker, especially in our country, and especially in public places as well. And why should government insist to ban smoking in public places? It's true that it is not that rare we see public smoker, and not if you bothered by them. You can just ask them to not smoke around, and they can smoke when there's nobody near them. And even some place provide room for smokers to smoke there. And maybe instead of banning public smoker, the government can provide some place so the smoker can smoke without bothering other people. And don't forget that most of our income is come from a smoker who buy the smoke, so the government can take the benefit from the money as well. So that's for me, Fake. Thank you.
Well. Thank you very much for Mr. Iqbal. That is a really good argument from the opposition team. Now we continue to our debate today. I would like to call the second speaker of the affirmative team. Now we call Miss Konita from closing government. Time is yours.
Thank you for giving me a chance to state my argumentation. Well, smoke primarily consists of particles and can include other gases or pollutants, including nitrogen oxides, carbon monoxide, and hydrocarbons that might be toxic. What is going to happen to people that exposure to smoke, aka secondhand smoke? Well, exposure to smoke can cause health effects and make existing health conditions worse. Most healthy children and adults will recover from short-term smoke exposure. Secondhand smoke has serious negative health consequences. Unlike other self-indulgent behaviors like eating fast food or drinking alcohol in public, secondhand smoke is not singularly linked to the participant. The negative effects of smoking in public carry over into the people's lives with a tangible, measurable, and sometimes permanent impact. Whereas at eating fast food for every meal or excessive alcohol consumption is likely harmful to the individual, the negative impact on others is minimal. Some might argue that eating too much fast food might cause an earlier death, and the associated increased cost of medical care is a burden on the taxpayer. While probably true, the link is weaker, less immediate, and less measurable than the one between secondhand smoke and health. Secondhand smoke exposure is clearly linked with negative outcomes on a person's health. A recent study published in the medical journal Circulation reviewed 13 studies from around the world and found that banning smoking in public places can reduce heart attack hospitalizations by up to 36% over time, regardless of geographical location. Clearly, it's become increasingly more difficult to make a case that secondhand smoke causes no measurable injury to the breather, especially over time. The scientific evidence that links secondhand smoke with heart disease and cancer has been mounting for decades. This is because the secondhand smoke receives cigarette smoke directly, and the cigarette smoke enters the respiratory system and then goes to the heart. Not only that, the effects of the temporary exposure to smoke are also well documented and include headaches, breathing problems, and even nausea. However, certain sensitive population may experience more acute and chronic symptoms, and even healthy people may experience symptoms. The bottom line is that secondhand smoke has numerous short-term and long-term consequences for innocent bystanders. Therefore, prohibiting smoking in public place will reduce the number of secondhand smoke victims, and we should ban smoking in public place. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much from Miss Konita. Now we're going to the. I would like to call the second speaker of negative team, Miss Dinda. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Pati. I'm Dina Safir Ahmad from Crossing Opposition. I disagree with this motion that smoking in public area should be banned. There are several reasons why I disagree with the motion. Number one, this prohibition will be difficult to enforce. Given the popularity of smoking, a smoking ban in all closed public places will be difficult to enforce, requiring constant vigilance by multiple police officers or security cameras. And for example, in some countries, the level of complaints is actually high, proving that there is no problem with the idea of prohibition, but with the authorities themselves in different countries. In Scotland, for example, a report from 3 months after the smoking ban was introduced show that about 99% of places are following the law properly. This suggests that the opposition should not use the fact that the smoking ban might be difficult to enforce in some France in the early stages of legal change as an excuse not to implement the ban. Many laws are difficult to enforce but are still need to protect people. Since the last few years, cigarette packets in Indonesia have generally been accompanied by health message warning smoke of the health hazard that can arise from smoking. Smoking can cause cancer, heart attack, impotence, and breathing problem. However, these words are only used as decoration. Number 2, farmers will lose their jobs. Indonesia as an agricultural country makes it easier for farmers to grow tobacco in Indonesia, especially with the very high selling price tobacco. Most of the tobacco farmers who come from the island of Java make a living from selling tobacco crops. Well, if smoking is banned, then they will lose their livelihoods and prosperity. Number 3, cigarettes producers and sellers have a great influence of many people. Cigarettes producers easily get tobacco leaf from farmers. Cigarette companies also employ a lot of workers so that indirectly, cigarette companies help solve the problem of unemployed Indonesia. In addition, cigarette company also provide a lot of forex exchange for Indonesia with a large cigarette tax, and the seller as a cigarette distributor is also one of the beneficiaries. The large number of buyers and the unending supply of cigarettes make it easy for cigarettes distributors to sell cigarettes in Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Dinda. Ladies and gentlemen, that's end of our debate today. And I'm also an educator to decide the winner of this debate for all. Now, it's time for me as an educator to give verbal education. So, the winner of this debate is from the government team. And the best speaker is Miss ding 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 Miss Konita. Congratulations for the winner and the best speaker. Well, that's all of our debate today. We would like to thank you, the honorable debate, and ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining. And I'm very sorry when my word is there is a lot of wrong. I'm so sorry. And it's time to say wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Hera aja live dhisik. Iki menilai BT iki ana aku tapi AI ta.